So for looking into the camera, is there one that I'm designated to look into if I'm looking at the camera, or should I be just looking at you, or how should it?
Good question. So this is where I'm recording now. I started recording.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. I can cut this off and edit it and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But this is important actually. I'm just gonna start. All right. So today we're doing two things. One is that we introducing you to the audience, but we also using this as a pilot. Mm-hmm. We talked about that. A pilot, folks, means that KaDi is thinking about doing a podcast, or you're going to do a podcast, excuse me. Yep. And we are testing out the waters. Sometimes it's challenging for me to tell people about how video podcasts work, how podcast works, how it looks, what's the angles, all those different nuances. And you and I have had conversations prior to this, right, up until this point. So today, think of it as if you were here and I had a conversation with you privately about what it is that you want to do, what your concept is, what your product or service or business is. Generally speaking, this is where we can actually do a example, i.e. pilot of what the takeaways. So just like you asking me, like, well, what do I look? Who do I look at? That's important because 9 times out of 10, before we start recording, I started talking to you about how the microphone was going to be. Mm-hmm. You see how you're doing it now?
Yep.
So, and what that means is that this is actually testing for yourself and training for yourself. So that way, when you do get in front of the camera, you know how to engage, of course, the audience, which is you guys. And then more importantly, you want to have a balance between having conversations with whoever your guest is. Ideally, I can put another camera someplace so you can be, kind of, you teach yourself as time goes on. You want to make sure that you engage with the audience.
Okay.
That's very important. What that means is that eye contact. And sometimes, and you guys will see as we start doing the podcast, I would talk to you and then I would if I'm addressing something that I know that the audience, or I'm really talking in general, then generally speaking, I would turn to them and address them. Why? Because everybody wants to know that you know that they're there.
Yeah, you're connected with everybody.
Right. True. Okay. So, without further ado, you had any questions? My fault.
No, I think that's pretty good.
Now today, once again, just to give you guys an insight, this is a 3-camera setup. I have room for 10, but 4 is on, as you can see, is 4 right here. Mm-hmm. And then if I wanted to, for instance, I guess this is good for the audience too. If I wanted to bring in a new feed, if you will. Mm-hmm. So say, for instance, we are someplace and we at an event, and you go to the green room, right?
Okay.
And you're in the back, and you want to highlight somebody that's about to come up, or you just want to go back there and, shoot the shit with them or whatever. I can say, okay, KaDi, give me your phone. I can turn around and give you an app to upload, right? And then once you upload the app, you going someplace else, back in the back, not too far, because you got to be within a certain range, obviously. But once you go back there, everybody else is looking at what we're looking at right now. You still going someplace, getting ready and all that good stuff. I got walkie-talkies that I give to you, and we got the earpiece and all that good stuff. So that means that you can tell me I'm ready. I'm ready. Then I can tell you, okay, I can hear you. You good. All right. Okay. And then, the lighting is good. Cool. All right. You good? The guests is where they supposed to be? Great. And then, so they moving around and doing whatever. I can actually see to a certain no, I can't see yet. I can't see what they're doing because I don't have the feed yet. So basically, once they do that, they get in position. And I thought this would be timed up correctly. So we in the back.
Mm-hmm. What? That's good.
So you audience. Oh no, that's not supposed to be audience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so just from having the app on your phone.
Yeah, and this software and the system that I have, right, where now there's someplace else, and I'm like, okay, because remember, this is a production. This might be you on FaceTime, you on your website, you might just had a new guest to come in, somebody that was important or whatever, and you tell your host, get back there, talk to them, see what's up. So they run back there, and the host doesn't have the camera. I'm gonna run somebody else with her or him to capture it, right? Because that's who I'm speaking to in the earpiece. Like, you ready? You ready? Good, okay. And I can see once they turn it on, and I can see once he or she sets it up where it's ready, then all I do is I toggle from me, like the audience is seeing right now. So we talking and all that stuff. Okay, you ready back there? All right. Now we have our special guest ready. And then now they're there.
What?
And you are in the green room talking to somebody and or getting their feed. But it actually gives, of course, a professional production.
Yeah, it makes me think of like news segments and stuff like that.
Yeah, same difference, right?
Dang, that's crazy.
I can have 6 other cameras on standby, just like that I can toggle from those 6 cameras to.
So is it with the software that you have, like you have a limited supply of, okay, you can only have up to 10 devices? That's what okay.
Yeah, that's based off of the system that I have. So my point being is that when I'm speaking to you, and why am I sharing this with you right now, is because I have no idea what my clients want, what they may want in the future. As you know, this is my in-house studio. All of my equipment is mobile. That means that I can come to some other place, club, restaurant, venue space, wherever. It can be a band, it can be a seminar, it can be a workshop. Any of those things that you want to document and or capture, ideally everybody's not going to be in the same spot.
And just having and don't you have a drone as well?
I do have a drone, yes.
That's cool.
I do have a drone. So the point being is that I'm speaking to you, and we can kind of go into what we're going to talk about today. And that is the reason why Fresh Aire Network Podcast Studio was created was ideally for myself and for my network. I've been doing networking events for years. I'm going to start doing it in Atlanta coming soon. KaDi was going to help me out with that. The point being is that I wanted to document the relationships that I had. I wanted to document the information that I felt like when you and I talked and we started striking up some of the same accords as far as what we wanted to do, the entrepreneurship side, the fact that you were in a phase where you were searching and adjusting and coming up with some new ways on how you're going to address 2022, correct?
For sure.
So entrepreneurs, I know, is always generally going through that phase to a certain degree. I know I am. Why? Because I run 3 businesses, and all businesses need to be addressed in some kind of way. You never really finish thinking about it. So with that being said, after we met, let's just say that, real world, we started talking. You had some ideas. I had some ideas. We started to draft some kind of concept on how we can draw some kind of accord with each other. At any rate, what I'm speaking of is that I wanted to, and this has been happening 19 years and 8 months. I just know. I've been in the business self-employed for 19 years and 8 months. The only reason why I know that is because I went to shout out to LinkedIn. And you know they always
yeah.
have your anniversaries and stuff like
anniversaries.
that. Also, when I was day one, even prior to that, I had no idea on how to be an entrepreneur. I had no idea of the mindset. I definitely didn't have the idea of the lifestyle and the environments and such. So as I went through those different stages, I started meeting great people like yourself. And then we would meet each other and chop it up. Mm-hmm. And then it comes to a point where, when am I going to meet KaDi again? Where's the place going to be? Is it going to be something that is going to be ideal for us to be talking and break bread and chill and relax? Mm-hmm. And that generally didn't and wasn't going to happen because I'm in Chicago. Where are you from?
Milwaukee.
All right, yeah, that's a good thing. I'm going to dial it down, and then I'm going to introduce you for right now, and then we're going to talk about you. The point is that when I meet people like yourself, how do we document our experiences and then present it to the audience and the world and our demographics or whomever we want to get our information across to? And we want to do it consistently and professionally. Hopefully, guys, you see this production. It's one man for today, but this is the takeaway. Now, if I got 2 or 3 people helping me like I generally have, you can imagine what the production might look like. Okay? So with that being said, KaDi, I would like you to introduce yourself and, of course, tell them who you are, why you're here, whatever here is, and then go from there.
All right. Well, as you know, and everyone else, my name is KaDi. Some people know me as Khadija. You might see it on my mail. But I am from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, repping the Bucks right now, you know.
Yeah, so
NBA champions.
Yeah, all right.
So a little bit about my background. I grew up a little bit in Milwaukee. I'll say I split my time from Milwaukee to East St. Louis. So, you know, that Illinois.
Right down the street.
So, yeah, grew up in Milwaukee, I would say, because I graduated high school from there. Ended up going to college there as well. Wasn't my initial choice. At first it was like, you know, I just want to get out. So I ended up going to the University of Iowa, and then ended up deciding that, or I guess realizing what I was really looking for. At first, it was kind of just getting out, moving away to show that I can do it. But then realizing that a big part of me was community, and I didn't really have that when I first went to college. So I ended up moving back to Milwaukee, where I pursued basketball, and I went to college to play basketball. And it was a really great experience. The school, the education, I was able to do a lot of the things that I never thought I would do. Like, I played collegiate soccer. Like,
wow.
Soccer. I was pretty good.
It goes hand in hand. It helps out.
Oh, yeah.
On the court, for real.
I was smoking those fools on the basketball court. Like, I'm running backwards. Like,
I play basketball, as you know.
Oh, yep.
And she got game. I don't give up. Now, I didn't even have to say that. I didn't even have to say that. I didn't have to say we played. I didn't have to say you had game. But, yeah, I was pleasantly shocked. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? You know, sometimes people say stuff and we went to the park.
And we did. And listen, I was talking smack and you was like, all right, yeah, let's go. And I was like, wait, what? You trying to go hoop right now?
Right. I was washing my car. And it was like, yeah, you know how hoopers are. Look, when it's time, it's time.
We said, let's go. You said, let's do like 1 or 2 games. We was there for like 7, 8. Mm-hmm. But that's how it be, you know.
Absolutely.
Met some pretty cool folks. But that's literally, that experience right there shows and like is just a part of the things that I want to do and the things that I want to accomplish in the world, is really just finding and growing community. Like, wherever that is, like, people have different interests. For myself, like, I play sports, I'm into art, I'm into a lot of different things. I'm into data analysis, and just finding ways to connect with people no matter what the medium is in the area. And I think that allows us to kind of understand that we're not alone in this world. A lot of times in life, you might feel that way. We go through things that maybe not everybody will be privy to. So just finding little ways to feel connected to somebody else, and realizing that everybody have a life journey some people have multiple journeys, and to just know that at one point I'm connected with this person and we're both like on the same path.
Right.
Even if we go separate ways after this moment. So just like trying to really live in those moments too, and not always looking back and say like, oh man, that was a good moment that I wasn't like present for, but I'm here and I'm actually present and enjoying it. So
Well, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Once again today, I want to introduce you to the concept. Of course, give you real world experience. Also, to champion entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship meaning the will to make something else better based off of your yearning or want. And I appreciate that because we have to start to, let me dial it back. We don't have to do anything. I think it's good for us to be in a space and an environment in which we could take our talent and our thoughts and express them. Okay? In this case, you're an artist in more ways than one, right?
yep.
How do you take those facets of yourself? And I always think of those facets that if you're an entrepreneur, you'll find a way of taking those facets and introduce them to the right demand, period. Now, there's process, there's the learning curve.
Trial and error.
It's the fact that you're new to it. At any rate, I think it's so beneficial for an individual to exercise that muscle as being an entrepreneur, because I'm not ashamed to say I'm self-sufficient and self-efficient. And I'm saying that because of 20 years of me sharing my thoughts with other people and with myself and going out there to make it happen. And knowing that there's no misunderstanding about who made it happen. I made it happen.
I did that. I put that
Not by
in.
myself, I might add. Never by yourself, which is why this community of Fresh Aire Network and the networking events and why we're here right now is to let you guys know that I need KaDi, and hopefully KaDi needs me. But the point is that nobody needs each other unless y'all come up with some kind of synergy, some kind of demand that you guys are wanting to supply. So Fresh Aire gives us the opportunity to have dialogue like this, for me to show you that what it is that you're thinking about and or what your talents are, they really matter. And they should be exercised, and they should be shared to the world. I believe that they should be shared to the world in a certain facet. That's where Fresh Aire Network comes in at, whether it's you came in here and you started looking and you're like, you got a lot of equipment. Well, yes, and it's all self-taught, and it's all trial and error. You know, ain't no blueprint for this.
Yeah, true.
You know, check it out. Go online and say, I want to start a podcast, a professional podcast.
This is gonna be videos galore.
It's videos galore, but it's not comprehensive, and it's never gonna be in the way in which you want to do it, because that's somebody else's thoughts. They might like Sony cameras, and you might like Blackmagic cameras. Well, one is exponentially more than the other, but which one is good for you, for what it is that you want to do? And then there's a learning curve, and then there's the lenses and lighting,
It's a lot.
microphones, and all this good stuff, right? So, but I appreciate it though. I appreciate it. Why? Because I have a chance to create a pilot for KaDi to see that this is a possibility for your dreams, for your thoughts, for your actions, for your business, and all that good stuff. So that's why we're here. We're here to, i.e., take the intellectual information that we have in our head and be able to distribute it to the target audience, right? So I have a question for you. All right. What do you think podcasting, and let's make a distinction between video podcasting, how do you think you coming up with a podcast would help your business, which you have a couple of businesses and we didn't even touch on that really. We can if you like, I know you do a variety of things, and that's another case in point and a teachable moment too. People that's thinking about doing podcasts, and when I tell them and tutelage them on what the podcast could be about, I help them understand that they're marketing KaDi first.
Okay.
And what does that mean? I'm marketing Kavan first. And what does that mean? That means that you want to be careful about not pigeonholing yourself to a certain thing when you get in front of the camera. Now, everybody has a show. There's hopefully some concept behind the show. Now, what's the concept behind the show? Is the concept somewhat all-encompassing, or is it kind of narrow? And the narrower it is, the less stringent that your possibilities on what the podcast could be, who you can invite. Like I say that we market to entrepreneurs.
Everybody. Most people.
Right. You see, I did this because it is. I think everybody in their right is an entrepreneur. Now, there's different levels and degrees of where you at in this entrepreneurial mindset. Either way, I have to put some parameters on it, and that is people that are entrepreneurial, have the entrepreneurial mindset, and then I talk to people that's aspiring to be entrepreneurs. Okay. When I do my networking events, that's what I put on all of my marketing. Entrepreneurs and those aspiring to be entrepreneurs. Why? Because you don't know where people are. I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to make judgments. You don't want to ostracize anybody about where they at in their life, about making the decision to start their own business. Either way, you got to start. You got to be in the environment. You got to get out there. So today, I wanted to talk to you, about what you think podcasts could do for yourself. And you can mention your businesses if you like, or not, or just like I said, who KaDi is and what you can have. Because we have a concept talking about that we want to springboard.
Yes.
So I'm going to be quiet now, and I'm going to ask you to,
answer
share,
that question.
please.
All right. So for me, honestly, the concept of starting this video podcast really started from my business that I'm doing right now pretty heavily, which is Brushbox. So go check it out, which is a art therapy box that we create art experiences that allows people to, one, connect with others, again, within the community, but two, really focus on themselves and understanding, like, using art as a way of healing. Okay. And so when we think about that, like, we preach this and we started our business, it was like, okay, we have this product, we have to get it out. How can we get it out the best way possible? And we've been doing that. We've had clients over the last year. We've been in business for a little over the year, and that's been great, but we haven't really been able to focus on just like the art process. And I think that's something that's very big, because for me and my business owner, she graduated with a degree in art therapy. And so she is a licensed art therapist. And I actually took art therapy before as a therapeutic method. And it was widely more successful than any other therapy I took. And I learned that it took so well is because in the brain, trauma and like verbalization lives in the same part of the brain. So sometimes it's very hard to verbalize the things you've been through, especially when they're very traumatic. And so it was a way for me to sometimes get things out, understand the way that I felt about things without having to tell somebody, because that was a very hard thing. And so really just starting this video podcast is to talk about and showcase the art process, the process of creating art. And for me, I enjoy that the most because I can be in my own zone, in my own vibe. Like, things happen in the world a lot to us when we don't have control of things, or even if we feel like we do have control over them. I feel like the one area in life that I could really control is like when I'm creating art, like whether that be the medium of like painting or the art that I create on the court, because that's art, you know, like just any and all aspects. When I feel like I am deciding to create some type of art, I can control that entire environment. And so I wanted to show people that the art process looks different any and every time, but just kind of going through the process, not for an end result of something cool, which some of my projects are not cool, but I enjoy the process of them. And I realized that when me and my business partner, we actually met in college, we were RAs in a dorm, and we were both on the fourth floor of Austin Hall, which was the athletes floor because we were both athletes. We both played soccer and basketball, actually. But she was mainly a soccer player and I was mainly basketball. So we were both the RAs on the dorm. And it was really just fun to be in our dorm room, like creating art. Like residents would come in, kick it with us. Like friends and family would come through and like, oh yeah, I want to help you make door decorations and stuff like that. Whether, you know, my sister who helped make these door decorations was actually there to receive one or anything like that. It didn't really matter. It was just like the process of creating, and it was just like us hanging out, gossiping, watching TV. Like that's what was fun. And I mean, the events was fun too and things like that, but it was really the way that you can connect with somebody who was just like, hey, I just want to sit here and gossip with you, but I know if I'm gonna sit in your room, I also have to get to work and cut some things out for you because I realize that you are working, you know, things like that. So really just so many things about the art process. And yeah.
I think that's interesting. The interesting part is the synergy between building community and having a environment that is conducive to something being fun. Let me give you an example. So many times we get together and we drink. Mm-hmm. And most of the time it's the sports event on that. That's like the entertainment, sports, right? Okay. It might be on TV. We sometimes, my friends and I play dominoes, sometimes spade and, you know, and bid and all that good stuff. What I'm getting at is that I'm appreciative for you guys coming up with a way of building community. And while you're building community, you're doing things like coming up with an art concept for kids. Because I went on your website and I checked out some of the packages that you guys had, right? And just that idea of you telling people to come over. And what was another example that was good? Remember when people was coming having parties for vision boards? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. That's building community because y'all gonna talk about what y'all gonna do.
Goals you have.
Right.
Like,
all of that good stuff. So I commend you guys on coming up with different ways of how to build community, but build it in a way that's non-traditional but non-traditional. Traditional in the way of you got to bring people together. Y'all gonna talk. It used to be teas and brunches and stuff like that. I know my grandmother used to drive my grandmother to her teas and brunches. My point is that builds community, and it builds in a way where you being around your peers, so many times that's the kiss of death for entrepreneurs, is that we're socially awkward because we're not going out and experiencing and being in an environment where you can talk to the opposite sex and being around the opposite sex and y'all not lusting at each other. Yeah. Why can't y'all talk? Why can't you be like my big brother or I'll be your big sister or something to that nature?
Just on like some chill stuff.
Uncle or, you know, or aunt. That's my aunt. That's my big sis or something like that. My point being is that I commend you guys on when y'all came together that it was something different. And it was for the community, that y'all was doing something for the community outside, but y'all was building community while y'all was doing something for the community outside.
And even as you say, like, building community and fun, like, that's how it started. But then realizing that, yeah, we're having fun, but to hear, you know, residents come back, oh, yeah, I'm so happy that you know, just let me come and kick it in your room. Like, I had residents who didn't talk to anybody, and it was just like, all right, I'm not going to let you sit in your room by yourself. Like, come hang out with me and my friends in my room. Like, we going to be watching TV. We going to be cutting some stuff out, so you might as well just join in, you know. So, like, just having ways to, again, connect with others. And it was just showing that it was through art. Like every time that I was making another connection, it's like, all right, through art, and seeing how the art that the others were doing, how it affected them in a positive way. It was just like, wow, this is astonishing. Like, because you can't really predict how someone is going to react or how they're going to experience something. And so it was just a way where it's like, I'm creating a safe environment for you. There's no expectations of what the end goal has to be, but it's just like, just be present, just show up, you know. So challenging them to show up to this moment and say, like, here's all the materials for you. What are you going to do with them? You know, even if that's just sit there and think about whatever feelings you have internally, you know, just express that and be here in this moment with the others who are involved in it.
That's another, let me pivot and talk about the mental state, because that is ultimately subconsciously what you guys are addressing. The stress level, there are some ethnic backgrounds that are more prominent than not. Where can you release, be around a community? You don't have to even say anything, but it is a project in front of you. You can choose to do it at your own pace. You can choose not to do it. You can look at other people, how they doing it. Either way, it socially gives you an opportunity to be involved. It socially gives you an opportunity to be involved and put your stamp on it. You know, just how y'all interact. The person that didn't talk and they start talking, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
all right.
I see you, because everyone has something to say, which, again, even when it comes to like actually taking art therapy, is like, you wouldn't have to talk about something traumatic, but you talk about what you created, you know? So, and through that, maybe we can find some commonalities, find some ways or areas that we need to prod a little deeper, but it's not requiring you to tell your life story, or, you know, again, if you're quiet, you don't talk, okay, I'm not asking you to come up here and present a whole thing, but I will give you the platform and the opportunity to talk about what you created, because you just sat here and did it. And usually that's an easy way, kind of end, like an easy end to just like, all right, let's connect. So
Yeah,
tell
common
me about what
strand.
you created, and then trying to understand a little bit more of the mindset of that individual and what they think and how they operate a little bit.
When they otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity to.
Exactly.
So many people that have been shut down and made to think that they have nothing to say or they can't add any value to the world. And they go through life, which is sometimes why they don't speak, because somebody or something then told them that they don't matter. But when somebody opened out their hand to them and give them a space and a place and environment for them to actually be comfortable enough to do that, then, yeah, it lays way to understanding that they matter. That's one thing. So back to the mental state, and the reason why I'm bringing up mental piece is because one of the reasons why I built Fresh Aire Network and doing the podcast is because I wanted others to see everyday people like yourself and myself that are entrepreneurs having some of the same challenges, some of the same victories. At the same time, we should speak out to the audience so they know that, i.e., it's okay that you don't know. It's okay, fear is going to be kind of dominant to a certain degree in this lifestyle. At the same time, this is a saying that comes to mind. It says that if you get into the habit of doing the things that you fear, then the death of fear is certain. If you get into the habit of doing the things that you fear, then the death of fear is certain. Okay, one more time for the audience. If you get into the habit of doing the things that you fear, then the death of fear is certain. Okay, so that mantra, obviously, I've been saying it for years, and when I learned it, it started to have an idea of giving me an idea, understanding that it's not necessarily a fearfulness, it's a fact of an unknown. So even take the fear out and put unknowns in it, if you like. because I really don't like to give energy to fear. At the same time, it is a part of life. When you don't know something, that's what the dark is all about. That's why people are scared of the dark.
Yeah,
'Cause
the unknown. You don't know.
You don't know if you're going to bump it and somebody going to get you, whatever. So that mantra or that concept that I learned gave me an idea of, I might as well go ahead and do it then. Just do it. It's not about failure. It's about what to do better the next time. It's about trials. It's about understanding. It's about learning. It's about fucking up royally, licking your wounds. And as you lick your wounds, the other part that I wanted to talk about is we're going to do networking events here in Atlanta. I haven't even talked about that. Yeah. What is up there? And actually, when you said your company, it's going to be up there too. It's up there already.
Oh, it's already up there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what I want to show you prior.
All right,
cool. Now, which is a case in point, is I'm sharing with KaDi the green screen concept and how production helps or could be something that she could use in her business and your podcast. And why? Because this is a great way to, of course, keep you guys influenced and, of course, knowing what's going on. The green screen is to make sure that sponsorship, advertisements, any of those different things that I know my friends and my fellow entrepreneurs want. And then that same note, I'm about to do a shout out to my boy Big Fitz, the poet.
Yeah, I was reading that.
Can you read it out loud for me?
All right. Oh, let me get back. If you can't build, I can't see the rest. Oh, if you can't build with them, don't chill with them. Okay, Big Fitz, the poet. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out to
I'm going to have to give me one of those.
And so, check this out. This was methodically, I did wear this T-shirt because I met him a week ago. A week or so ago. He was in Atlanta at a shout out to a Cat's Cafe. I was there promoting and actually supporting somebody else. And he was there. Of course, I love the T-shirt, right? But I also wanted to do a case in point. You guys are reading the T-shirt. You seeing the T-shirt. This T-shirt could be your business. It can be your way of advertising. It can be your way of giving support to somebody. Because I told him, like, great show. At the same time, we chopped it up for a second. Of course, I supported him. But then I was like, you know what? I want you to, when you come back to Atlanta, I want you to come back and I'm going to, do an interview. Of course, he was obliged and all that good stuff. But that's just it. This is a case in point, too. This is something that I supported somebody else, and now I have the opportunity to put somebody else on board.
Broadcast, yeah.
Distribute information.
Always come back to that.
Distribution of information,
yes.
Right? So that's what I wanted to make sure I champion. I also want to let the audience know that this is what I felt was ideal for entrepreneurs on expanding themselves. Because just as well as it can be here, it can be up there. We can take a break, and I can take a break and have a camera on me, or we can have a camera on you, or we can have a camera on somebody dancing, or we can have a camera. We can create a show. Yeah, that's my point. Wow. So it's important that we market and brand ourselves, and we create some content, right?
I feel that.
So
I come from a marketing background, so.
Yeah. So talk to me about your stay, and how long have you been in Atlanta now?
For about 5 months.
Yep. Yeah. 2 months more than me.
Or you came.
I've been there 2 months more than 2 months more than you.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. From the Midwest. For sure.
Since October,
to the dirty South. Right.
I remember when I first came and checked out the place, and I don't know if you remember, but the realtor was parked in the carport, like in your spot, and you had pulled up. You was like, Yeah, you in my spot though. I was like, oh,
I mean, after you start paying rent.
listen, but I was like, I mean, he not wrong, but I was like, I had to just do a prayer. Okay, let's just make sure my, whoever is I'm living in the house with is cool, type thing.
Vice versa.
Man, dude, it was.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah,
I seen the Illinois. I was like, all right, we cool. It's all good.
Yeah. That's important. That's important for your environment to be peaceful. Mm-hmm. If not peaceful, neutral. And if not neutral, then you need to get away. Because if it's not, I mean, environment is everything.
Yeah. Some spaces and places, you shouldn't have to work too hard for a little peace of mind, for a little, the world hard enough. It's like, at least let the home place, as much as possible be that safe haven for you,
So, you mentioned some things about your passion, right? And you were speaking about, how's it been for the 4 months, 5 months you've been here?
It's been pretty cool. Like,
okay.
Again, as entrepreneurs, sometimes I feel like I'm either holed up in my house, like just trying to grind things out, or vice versa, trying to get out and make connections, network, try to find your pack. Because it's like, okay, I moved, it's new, you don't got the same comfortability, you don't got the same support system, all of that has changed. For sure. You don't even got the same oil change place. My car, I was like, I just have to find a spot to go to get my oil change. Like, I used to go to the Scrub-A-Dub back in Milwaukee, so I had all these coupons. I'm like, ain't no Scrub-A-Dub here.
Bargain shopping. That's what you mad about.
Listen, work smarter, right? Not harder.
I ain't mad at you. Well, the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because, like I mentioned before, I've been here 2 months prior to you, and I wanted to do these podcasts to showcase what the perhaps temperature is when it comes to entrepreneurs in Atlanta. So many times when I was in Chicago, obviously, people will come and ask me like, well, hey, how's it in Chicago? I just had a conversation, shout out to Tori Muhammad in Chicago, Bean Soup Times. I was talking to him about some things, and he was asking me that same question. How was the temperature, more or less, of entrepreneurs here? And we had a heart-to-heart. I told him some of my thoughts, some good, some indifferent. At the same time, I know that now that we're here, we have to make our own way. We have to create our own environments, and that's what I'm doing. I say that because we mentioned about doing networking events. I've been doing them for years, obviously. Shout out to Fresh Aire Network. I just added a podcast studio on the end when I started doing podcasts because everybody in Chicago knew me by that. At any rate, I wanted to make sure that when I meet people like you, KaDi, that we have a chance to build some kind of synergy and then create some kind of lifestyle from the synergy. And the lifestyle, in my opinion, has always been take the people that you come in contact with and bring their ass together. Bring them together. See what's going on. See how it works. As you know, if you haven't, check out Fresh Aire Network podcast. I showcase thousands of artists. I mean, I'm like DJs, bands, all kinds of people.
Yeah, it's usually a party up in here.
All kinds of people, right? So we live in the same building, obviously.
Yeah.
So
our studios is like right under. So
yeah.
I usually get a free music party every few days.
Yeah. You got to come up with some sign if you got company or you on a conference. Because I be thinking about that. If you're on a conference call, a Zoom call, or something like that.
Oh, no. I just turn on my little LED lights, and then they all just, literally, when I be on work meetings, they just like, oh, it's the party going on. I'm like, yeah.
So a case in point on that is these DJs, I think of them as entrepreneurs first. Then they're DJs.
Yeah.
Well, they don't think that way sometimes. Right. And I'm saying that because they cold at what they do, but they may or may not know how to market themselves on how cold they are at what they do. Other people be telling them, hey, man, you got good music. And they're like, yeah, I do. But they don't necessarily know how to streamline that talent to making opportunities for themselves. Because they're DJs. They're not promoters.
Say, sometimes they may, or at least some of the DJs that I know, is like they might have started creating for a specific environment. You know, I'm the house DJ at this location, so I'm making music for this. But it goes beyond that. Like, how can, like you said, case in point, how can I create this platform for myself and utilize the skills that I have to branch out beyond this?
So I think that's important, to make sure that music and the environment, you have as much control over it as humanly possible. As an entrepreneur, it is definitely the kiss of death, as you know personally. When you get that loved one that's in your corner, and if he or she ain't in your corner like you think that they should be, then they can fuck you up. They can mess you up. So that is life, obviously, for an entrepreneur, for people in general. But I think that it is detrimental. If somebody in your corner that you think is in your corner and they taking you down the street because they don't understand, then, yeah, you got to get rid of them.
Cool. And that's a hard one sometimes for folks.
Yeah, it is, because sometimes you don't want to be alone. Sometimes you're used to the environment. Sometimes you're used to that person. Sometimes you don't want to start over, all those different things, which leads us back to having our events, and people can come. And I'm honing in on these events because it's a way in which I can share with you, okay, what DJs am I talking about? What music am I playing? What music am I thinking
they here
about?
at this event, yeah.
From the artists to the DJs to the 5 or 6 businesses that I showcase. Yeah, I want to make sure that they're highlighted and they're doing what they really want to do with no strings attached. Just do you. And if folks see you doing you, then you have ability, and we capture the event. Let's make sure we put that out there. So the whole thing is to make sure that we showcase people on Fresh Aire Network, but we also want to go in and celebrate them at an event and have people come out to talk to them.
Because there's so many aspects to creating the event, down to even when we're talking about like the food and the drinks. It's like, all right, well, we know somebody who has this restaurant, or these are caterers, so now they can showcase their food at this event.
Yep, and we record it, and then we take that fun time and we make sure we create content for our businesses to make money in the future.
Yes.
So is there anything that you want to ask, anything you want to add today about
really
podcast?
Actually, so you said you started to create this whole production because as an entrepreneur, like doing it yourself, just having control and autonomy over everything. So what was the first business that you created? Was it actually just having a production, or was it like, oh, I had this business idea, but how can I market it and get it out there? Therefore, now I have my second business, which is the production business. Like, how did that?
This was the third business.
Oh, wow.
This is the third business. The first business is, I was an engineer beforehand. Shout out to Molex and Jerry Sherwin, my last boss ever. Start doing insurance on a broker level. Part-time. And found out that I was pretty good at it. And August 20th, I fired my boss. And then I stepped out as a broker doing insurance for state, federal, military, and postal employees, right? So I would go in, and that was 20 years ago. So I was looking super young, super inexperienced. And I'm going into these facilities, talking to these employees. And basically, I was getting stonewalled at the door. They wouldn't let me in because the neglect, I would say, in the educational component that goes with employees being at a job and them learning their benefits or what they got. So I'm paraphrasing, but what I'm saying is that when I was working at my jobs and I was in the Army, I ain't know shit about my benefits. Nobody was coming in to tell me like,
yeah.
hey, the company brought me in to tell you about what's really going on. That ain't happening. That's not happening. So to make a long story short, I would get in there and I would be in front of a client, and I'm looking, we in a little cubicle, right? I'm barely getting in there. They on their lunch break, right? And they talking low because they don't want their coworkers to hear their business and all that good stuff. So I'm just happy I'm in there. Like, I finally I'm pulling out my stuff and like sitting in front of them. And what happens is that they will go in on what they needed. So that 30 minutes turned into like an hour and a half. And now they got me in the corner. and we just rapping. My point being is that I go in there for one thing, and they'll start telling me about what they may or want to do or what they aspire to do. Mm-hmm. And sometimes some of the neglects and pitfalls that they were having, i.e. they didn't think they was going to be there all these years, and they want to start a business or they want to get a piece of property, any of those things. Mm-hmm. And what happened is that I would ask them, well, how close are you to doing that? Because I got to get out of here for real. You need a whole slew of different avenues to get you there. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I'm saying is because the mindset is everything. If a person's mindset is not there, then it's hard for them to actually see, back to the fear thing, that they can get there. Mm-hmm. So I'm in there talking about something else, and then we talk about this ball of wax of what they really want to do, and I'm looking at them like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Point to them like, yeah, well, like maybe get some business and such. So after a while, I would start to think like, man, such and such could have helped the old girl.
Oh, yeah.
My boy that does that could help. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, where are they? When is the opportunity for them to meet? Am I going to call them and be like, hey, I remember we was talking about such and such. Well, here's my boy. Now I got to call him and tell him what's going on. Hey, be looking out for my client to call. This is her name. This is what she wants, all that kind of stuff. And this is just a piece of what we were talking about while I was in there with the client. So I was like, you know what? Let me start doing some events. And let me invite them to my events. And while they're there, that same person and that same guy who can do their logo or whatever else, mm-hmm. and the band is banging. The band is getting it, right?
And we're recording it all.
And we in my boy's spot. Who was this restaurant? Shout out to Dale Petty and Blue 47 back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. Every Tuesday. Wow. So that is, the reason why I'm even talking about this is because it was the progression of saying I'm an entrepreneur, mm-hmm. being an entrepreneur, finding out that I needed to have some kind of lifestyle of what an entrepreneur is. And the lifestyle is that I knew that I wanted to help more people than not. I wanted to become a vessel where when they speak to me, I can tell them, hey, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I don't do that. And it's important. It's important for me to let my client know I don't do that. But yeah, I do got somebody though. Let me give you his or her number. And after a while, it was easier for clients just to call me. My friends and or clients would just call me, like, hey, man, remember we was talking about such and that, or Mr. Ware, da, 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 da. And I was like, yeah. They were like, you got somebody for that? Or we'll flush it out as we talking about it. And they're like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, it does make sense. Okay, all right, I'm going to go on out of it. Well, no, you got somebody to help me with this?
Yeah.
So that obviously let me know that creating events and having great people at the event that knew what they were talking about, were passionate about their business and their concept, and also having an environment where everybody won. The DJ get to play what they want. whatever they wanted.
Wow.
You follow?
Yeah.
Because when they get booked, they got to play with the person who booked them. They tired of that. They're like, hey, man, I want to play this. And I'm like, why you can't play that?
Look, that's why DJs don't take requests now. They're like, nah, I just want to play what I want to play now.
Or they got to play with whoever booked them. It's somebody that they're appealing to.
Yep, for sure.
And generally it's the person who's paying the bill. So started doing that, did that for years, of course. Had my own venue space, my own restaurant. Shout out to Steve Watts, my partner, 1310 East 75th in Chicago. Wow. 3 floors. We had a restaurant. We had a venue space. Second floor was adult game room. We had ping pong. We had a shooting. We had the basketball. We had an outside deck. My point is that I want to control the environment. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Daryl Petty and Blue 47th, and then I did it at the Shrine with Joe Russo, and then shout out to Sarah and Matt at not Quattro. Yeah, Quattro, right across the street from the Shrine. These were people that thought enough of me to know that my business or what I was bringing to the table was valuable enough for let me do the events, do my events in there every week for free. Not really free. Actually, they were paying me because we were, do the door or to do the liquor split or do whatever, right?
Like, again, it takes that community. It's not just you. Might be the concept that you came up with, but it's like, all right.
I needed it.
Person. Yeah.
I needed it just as well as Sarah and Joe and Daryl. All these folks needed it. They were, the entrepreneurs of their business, but they wanted valuable people to come in. So started doing that, got my space, did all that stuff, and then got burned out, really. Burnt out. This is doing events and then owning the event space and the restaurant and showing it and breaking down and marketing it and cleaning up and going to get the groceries. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Somebody want to do a baby shower. They want to come over and, can we come? Can I come? So they come and I show them, right, for the little baby shower. It was a big baby shower because it was a big space. And next thing you know, they calling me 15 minutes like, hey, are you still there? I want my mama with me. I want to come back and show her.
And it's going to be kids.
So my point being is that that's a full-time job for just one person to be showing the space and creating an environment of what that baby shower might be.
Well, as an entrepreneur, you do all of it.
I had to do all of it.
So how are you doing it now? Like, in what ways have you scaled down and out and up? Like, because it's a whole different networking environment here.
Great question. The scaling up was, I did not necessarily want to always have the space and the place and the environment and all that good stuff and continue to do it based off of what I know the need was for other people. What does that mean? That means I was doing networking events every week because I wanted everybody to have a chance to go to some place every week to sharpen their skills. To know that, hey, Tuesdays, fresh air, Blue 47 is going to be.
For sure.
And I needed it too for myself. At the same time, that's a lot of work. So the scaling up was, why don't I do the event? All the stuff I'm telling you about, the little space and 1310 75th and all that, where's the footage? Where's the documentation of it? I got pictures. I got living in the minds of my people that used to come and patronize. Because we used to have on Fridays, karaoke Fridays.
Oh.
Live band karaoke Fridays, that's what it was called.
And this was still a networking event, or this is just a
totally
different?
No, this is something that, this is actually a friend of mine that I went to high school with, and Willie. His name is Willie, right? And this is a case in point. This is a good example. So I went to high school with him. Hadn't seen him a couple of times after high school, but for years. His wife was best friends with my friend that I did insurance with, that helped me with coming to my networking events in the very beginning.
Okay.
Shout out to her. Rest in peace too to her. So she used to bring her, because they were two friends, to my events. We became like homies and friends, right? So he said he came across, we was playing basketball, that's what I told him I had a space. He said, I'm gonna come through. So he had this concept. He had a band, and he came and seen the spot, right? And then he said, I'm gonna have my wife come in and check it out with me. I was like, all right, cool. So he came and he brought his wife. She came in the door. She was like, Kavin. We got the hugging and all that good stuff. The reason why I bring that story up is because number one, it qualified me to Willie, and it qualified her to him. Meaning like, oh, you fuck with my boy?
Yeah.
You know?
Make
you gotta be good. So the synergy right there was like, boom.
Instant.
Why is that important? Because I hadn't seen him in years. I seen her because she used to come to my event. They married now for years, kids. And now they come to ask me, could I do something for them? And that was what it was. It was a live band karaoke night. And they got the money when it came in, and me and Steve created the environment for the food in the restaurant, and we made money off that. But talk about when you just walk up and tell them any song, KaDi.
And you don't got footage of this?
Some, a little bit. I know we got pictures, but yeah, and we did that every Friday. So my point is that I knew that by doing that, we had a cult. It was
growing. These are the people who riding with y'all.
These are the people who was riding with us, but they also like, hey, Kavin, can I do such and such? And they bring in different people because now this is their spot.
Yeah. It's like the things that you're doing is inspiring other people to do certain things or to imagine something beyond what is already here. Because you already got it set up for Friday night live band karaoke. But now somebody else walk in and they like, yo, but this could be this.
Baby shower.
Listen.
What am I doing a baby shower for?
Where you see, it ain't nothing in here that's child proof, but okay, you want to bring all the kids in and have a baby shower, cool.
KaDi, we had church on Sunday. Somebody rented out our space for church every Sunday.
What? They brought pews in?
No, we set up everything. So whatever we did Saturday night, doesn't matter if we finished at 5 a.m.
Look, it can't be no clean up and everything.
It can't be no chicken bones on the floor. It can't be smelling like no liquor, no nothing. This is a church. Every Sunday they came in. Shout out to her. And they was there for a year and a half, almost 2 years. Wow. Every Sunday. Yep. So I'm saying that to say that I see the value when people have things that they want to do. And if they have the opportunity and the environment to do that, then they will. For sure. Whether it's the church, the live band, we used to have poetry night. We used to have questions.
Like trivia?
Yeah. We used to have questions. We used to have questions. So it would be like 30 of us in the room and have a hat. People would write down anything on that piece of paper.
What?
And put it in the bag. And then we had a host. Shout out to I ain't gonna say no names. The host was hosting it and we would just have a great time.
That's synergy.
Just playing questions.
And see, honestly, even with the podcast, the video podcast that I want to create, like I've been playing with the idea, but I think it's gonna be just called Inspired By, because I feel like that just fits how I feel about it. But even as you talk about, okay, now these people want to have a baby shower. Oh, we want to have a church here. It's like there's so much out there that's happening in the world that like brings about inspiration. Like sometimes what your homies doing, sometimes what you see celebrities doing, like you find inspiration in everything around you, whether you are conscious about it or not. Like the way you dress might be inspired by, again, celebrities and how they dress, or literally like the homies that like create stuff. And this quote, it's like, man, I feel that. Like that inspired me to want to buy this shirt and rep it. You know, so just having a way where I can bring other people on my show, whether you are a self-titled or whatever, an artist or not an artist, is like just talking about like what inspires you, because we can learn and grow from every and all situations. We don't know everything. So it's like, again, as you talking to me or I have somebody on the show, it's like, oh, at first I had to say, oh, I don't know that, let me tell my homie. But now you coming on the show, you telling me things and you allowing me to learn more about your craft and what you do. That's inspiring me and maybe the people here who watching, and now they know about other dope people who doing dope things, because it's so many people in our community who are doing great things. Like, I got homies, I'm still trying to get to this point myself where it's like, I know some people who right away, like, oh, I'm a realtor, I do this is my business, woo, woo, woo. My Uber driver last night was like, we weren't really trying to talk. We in the backseat just chilling, and he's like, turn the music down. Like, y'all got IG? You look at pictures and stuff? Well, I'm a photographer, you know, like, and he was just like chopping it up. And because I do photography, I was like, I'm listening to him. But, you know, you got some people who gonna put their stuff out there. You got some people who might not say anything, and your homie might make clothing and he don't ever put it out there. But having people come on to the show and just talk about what they're interested in and what inspires them to do what they're doing, down to the clothes they wearing. Or because I have an art business, and I think art is very essential to, again, healing the self and others within the community. Like, let's create art together and just have this conversation, you know? And again, it's not about the end product of the art we created, but in this instance, it's about the conversations we're having and the topics that we're talking about, to understand, like, what influenced you, what inspires you, like, what gets you going, what makes you passionate about things, like literally. So.
It's two things came to mind when you were speaking about, and I thank you. One was, one of the things that I did this, it was for my daughter Chloe. I just text her. She just finished her midterms, right? I speak to her. You know, they got their own life, right? They're doing but I know it's gonna come a time where she's gonna go out and live her life, and then she's gonna come back to me with some questions. And the questions that I knew would haunt me was, when she go out into life, she get a degree, she go ahead and, you know, work in corporate world for a couple of years or do whatever. Then she's gonna come back and be like, hey, Daddy, this ain't it. This ain't it, Daddy. This is not it. And I don't push her to do anything. She started her own cupcake making business, which I'm proud of her. And she doing it on that live. And I mean, but she was with me through everything. So I'm hoping some of the stuff the entrepreneurial spirit kind of rubbed off on her. So number one is that the reason why I built Fresh Aire Network podcast studio is because these kind of conversations I want my daughter to be able to hear. To hear that there are people like her, Black, brown, that have something to say, educated, intelligent, and they're willing to share. The sharing. So when when my daughter gets to the point where she wants to do something, I'm building resources for her. I'm building relationships. When she said, Daddy, I want to do X, Y, Z, you know somebody? I just so happen to do, daughter.
Here, come to my event.
Or not, like, she already gonna know that I already do events. So she knows how I may know of this person. You get me? It ain't no fly. You know how people be like, I know such and such. I know about. You don't even go out the house. You ain't even been out the block. You ain't even been out of Chicago, out of your city, or out of your state, or out of Atlanta to be, you know. But the point being is that, number one, building up an infrastructure and a relationships that when my daughter or anybody like my daughter comes my way, here you go.
Here you go.
Check it out. Here's a couple of, check it out. And then you get a chance. So the second thing was, I don't remember.
It'll come to you.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I hope it did some good for you. As far as somebody said that they was gonna be nervous. Listen. And it wasn't me. We are already an hour and 9 minutes into this.
You know, I loosened up a bit.
Look, you did you?
Listen, I was trying not to fidget too much. I was like, okay, just be chill.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Blueprint. Blueprint was the second thing.
The blueprint.
Yeah. Nobody showed me how to be an entrepreneur. Nobody is really continuing to show me how to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to build this space so when entrepreneurs or people aspiring to be entrepreneurs wanted to see that a male and a female, I don't. Right. It's camera. That was camera effect. Camera trickery. No, that brown and black people can be together and they can talk educational stuff. And we ain't got to be cursing at each other. We don't have to have any kind of drama issues. We have some of the same. And that we can be friends. Everybody ain't got to be doing it to everybody. Everybody don't have to be having ulterior motives. Maybe they just like each other. Maybe they just like being around each other. Maybe they have common interests. So I wanted to make sure that I had a platform that brought people that ordinarily kids would not see on TV speaking. This to me, hopefully, looks like TV. Right, y'all? It's like TV a little bit. So they can automatically put themselves in that space, just like when Obama became president. Now, that's not a figment. It can happen. I mean, not very likely, no time soon. But it can happen. You get what I'm saying? Is that I wanted to show my daughter and other people, old or young, that we got some good, intelligent, artistic people out here, and we just need platforms like this to showcase them. Let them do what they do. Fresh Air was here to create the infrastructure so you ain't got to spend all this money and time on all this equipment and learning and know-how so we can come to this. And you guys can get it. And then you can join us and create your own. And that way we can create a community where we get our own information from our own selves.
Yes.
And we're the narratives of it. The intellectual property is important too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Original thought. So, shout out to, once again, Fresh Air Network Podcast. You want to shout out anybody?
I'm going to just shout out Brushbox. Again, check us out at brushbox.com.
It's right up there.
Yes. And just stay tuned. I feel like we definitely going to have more content come soon. Putting more thought and ideas down on paper and just making more moments like this. Like, again, you can't build together, we can't chill together. Like, even though we see a lot of each other in just like chill passing moments, like to know that we really moving forward with things. And again, that's a bit of the entrepreneurial mindset, but just having that go get it mentality. Like, yeah, I feel like we made a connection. We had some ways that we felt like we can bring something to the community and boost ourselves, and we making it happen. It's just one of the many steps. Like,
right. Use our talents and our gifts and do something, y'all. Just please do something when it comes to your dream, aspirations, business concept, interests. I don't care. Do small things, and those small things will definitely coagulate and become more of, this is my thing.
This is my lifestyle. This is my habit. I actually, last year, did this thing called bullet journaling for the full year, which is like you kind of make your own, you kind of create your own schedules or your calendar views and things like that. And every month I had goals that I set, but I also had habits that I wanted to track. And some of them were just minor habits where it's like, just take this vitamin every day. And then other ones were a little bit more intentional, like just speak some positivity into yourself, or, reflect on the day and understand, like, okay, what was a positive moment from the day, in order to help me make that more of a habit where a lot of times we can't go through life, or at least for myself, like, any one inconvenience, it's like, oh, today was a bad day. But then the fact that I had this, okay, just jot down something positive from the day allowed me to realize that the 5 minutes don't have
Dictate
to be the whole 24 hours of this day. Like, when I reflect on this day, this is not the memory that I am going to have stuck with me, but these positive moments. And it was something that I wrote down, and I was like, all right. And just having the 3 months that I really was focused on that, it was like, wow, the energy that I had, the outlook that I had on life was just different because I made this habit to do this every day, and I stuck with it. You know, just as for me growing up, I didn't brush my teeth at night. that wasn't something that I grew up with.
Just in the morning, right?
Just in the morning.
That's all you were taught.
And then I was like, yo, I was like reading things and seeing things like, yo, maybe I should be brushing my teeth at night. So that was a habit that I had to track for myself. Like, all right, you did it. Boom. Like, tick it off type thing. And now it's something that's just like ingrained in me. But it wasn't something that I grew up with or was even something that I thought about to do until I seen, oh, maybe this is something that I want to be a part of my lifestyle. And therefore, I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Reason being is because that was one of the reasons why I built Fresh Aire Network Podcast Studio, is because I wanted to build habits and cultures. Cultures of how people treat each other, how we do business with each other, how respect is being reciprocated. And not only did I want to build it, but I also wanted to showcase it. The showcasing is you can't say that me and KaDi ain't cool. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
You can't say that we don't know how to just relax and be. And because you see it right now.
Here it is.
And so what happens is that when you get a chance to see it, I believe that you first of all know it can't happen again. And then you also yearn for it. Once you've been exposed to a certain something, you be like, well, why can't it be like this all the time? I mean, we do that all the time with everything, and I'm gonna be quiet on that. The point is that I know that to be a fact, but I also know that also can be a habit for me. I formed a habit of making sure I had things to look forward to.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Because that is something that I've recently come to the realization about as an entrepreneur. Like, once I quit my full-time job in marketing at the marketing agency, it was like, okay, I make my own schedule. I can wake up when I want to, I can get things accomplished that I want to if I decide that these are items of importance.
Right.
And so it was very eye-opening to me when I realized that I still wasn't being successful in certain things that I was doing. Like, the day would just like go past, and it's just like, how did I not get these 5? It was only 5 things on my list. How did I not get these 5 things done? And realizing that maybe the way I'm setting up my day, like, I have expectations that these things have to go in this order of importance, and realizing like that's not true. You can make it whatever you want to as long as you get it done. But 2, having something to look forward to, whether that be every day or every week, where it's like, I'm not just going through life, oh, I got to do this, oh, I got to do that, but dang, I'm looking forward to this. And as an entrepreneur, you get to do that kind of every day. Like, yeah, there's responsibility, but because you're pursuing something that you really are passionate about, you really want to do and you want to see happen, that's the excitement. It's like, I look forward to seeing the fruits of my labor happen. Like, even though I was nervous, like, I'm excited to see what this pilot of this podcast can be, because just 2 weeks ago, I was outside stressed out because I'm like, I need to get on YouTube and do all of this stuff, and I don't know how. I'm trying to look up ring lights, and now it's like, this is happening. I'm nervous. I'm a little sweaty, but it's happening, and it's like, yo, that's tight.
Yes.
Like, we making it happen,
It's
and that's
life.
all you can do. You can only start. That's all you got to do. Like,
and have a good time while you're doing it too. So that's the other part too, is that we don't have to always think that it's gonna be tough or it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge because it's new, but depending on who you do it with, we can have fun doing it. Why does it have to be so taxing because we don't know? And we don't have to always get it right the first time. And that's entrepreneurship lifestyle 101. You are not going to get it right the first time.
Nope.
And if you add something to that and you think you're going to do it again, you added something, you might not get that right either. Anytime you add a piece to something, to expand it, it has the ability to not be the same thing as it was before. And you must know that. You have to know that, because if not, you know, it's that form of insanity that they say, doing the same thing. No, you got to change it up.
Different results. It's like,
So, KaDi, I appreciate it.
I appreciate this.
Yeah, I wanted to show you, and what we're gonna do. This is what I generally do: is after we finish, I pull it up on my computer so you can see it, and see what it looks like, and basically is what you guys are gonna be seeing or have seen. I might do some editing to it, because I said that was up there, and then you tell me. I just do a little bit of editing to it, so you can say, because we don't. Said that we wasn't gonna put this out, or we had the option to. So I acted as if we were.
I like that.
That's what I did. So without further ado, I appreciate you, KaDi. Shout out to you once again. We're gonna be doing this again, and look forward to our events here in Atlanta. We're gonna be showcasing entrepreneurs and some of the individuals who I've come in contact with since I've been here for the last 6 months, and who are entrepreneurs. Check us out on Fresh Aire Network on YouTube or Facebook. I got some stuff up there that I've done with people. But ultimately, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for having an open ear. And please like us, subscribe, and think about doing a podcast. I hope this helped, and I hope your week is good. Thank you.
Peace.